Manchester United's comeback in the European League. Haaland proved to the club bosses that the team doesn't need a new forward. Chelsea played against Astana at a temperature of minus 10 degrees. Liverpool, taking advantage of Barcelona's problems, is buying the Catalan superstar. All charges have been dropped against Kylian Mbappe, and Passage wants to sign Marcus Rashford as a replacement for Skull. Today we're discussing this and more. Friends, this is Football Dose, and the top 10 hottest news to this hour. Charge your royal likes so we can work without weekends. Well, I wish you a pleasant appetite and a pleasant viewing. Manchester United is preparing for a sale. We've already discussed the probable restructuring. According to Fichajes data with MU, they plan to sell 3 players in the winter transfer window: Marcus Rashford, Christian Eriksen, and Anthony. The Brazilian has managed to become a real legend of Old Trafford, so it will be sad to say goodbye to him. But you need this. Both sides need this. The Devils must clear payroll, gain visibility, and receive some funds from Anthony's transfer. Winger himself needs to restart. He needs to find a simpler club and, even better, a league. For example, like Memphis Depay once did in a similar situation, go conquer League One. Honestly, I don't see much sense in selling Eriksen. Why? They're planning to let him go as a free agent this summer. You can earn some really pitiful crumbs on it in the winter. And that's not a given. Who knows, he might still come in handy in the second half of the season, especially considering how injuries sometimes plague United. As for Rashford, according to reports, they are ready to sell him for £40 million. Despite the fact that Marcus is unstable, the Red Devils are trying to fit into the framework of profit and sustainable development. In the past 3 years, Manchester United lost a total of $300 million. It's not wise that now they have to think about how to avoid the penalty. But it will be funny if both Manchester Giants are fined for violating financial fair play rules. In general, Adjalo himself spoke well about Rashford's game recently. When asked about the best footballer he has played with, Wenger responded, "When I joined the team, Rashford impressed me the most. He was fast, strong, played very well." Then Ahmet realized he had misspoke and added that Marcus is also very good now. But you get the point. Yet Rashford sometimes behaves strangely at training. One day he got upset with Steve McLaren, Ten Hag's assistant, for trying to intervene during a 5-on-5 training game. The coach praised Marcus's ability to score winning goals, attempting to motivate him. However, the player asked the coach not to pressure him, shocking the entire coaching staff. Reports suggest Paris Saint-Germain, Barcelona, Bavaria, and Saudi clubs are interested in Rashford. The Saudi clubs may win the race, as they are willing to pay him £300,000 a week. Cristian Romero stepped in for Ensha Postecoglou, who was blamed for Tottenham's recent results. He did it so sharply that Postecoglou had to correct the assistant, who suggested that Daniel Levy should work better. Postecoglou said he was very emotional. He likely acted wrongly regarding the hierarchy. I don't think our current problems are related to one person. Cristian realizes that much of what he said was good, but some things were not the right way to solve it. He apologized for that. They didn't seem to plan to fire him and plan to give him time, and to buy players in winter to avoid struggling with colleagues in central defense. Possibly also sign a replacement for Guillermo Victorio. After all, now the team has to get by without a warming-up goalkeeper. But possibly Romero's words affected the head of Tottenham not quite as the Argentine had planned. And now, as reported, the Tottenham management has started looking for a replacement goalkeeper. Now, the Spurs are actively following the work of Kieran McKenna from Ipswich. Chelsea and Manchester United were interested in the coach, even in the summer. He was also an option for Brighton. Ipswich is in 17th place in the APL. But considering the club's resources, even this can be considered an achievement, as the team is ahead of Wolverhampton and Southampton, and they have more money and stronger squads. Like Ensch, McKenna likes the 4-2-3-1 scheme. He also makes the fullbacks play wide and very high to create additional space for getting out of the press. The goalkeeper is also used as a playmaker. McKenna uses the ideas of Guardiola's and Ortega's systems. Ipswich loves high pressing. On average, the team regains possession 5 times in the opponent's final third each game. This is 3rd place in the APL. That is, the coaches have similar styles. McKenna, like Postecoglou, is a principled coach, but more adaptable. It seems like a good option, but if he could turn down Chelsea in the summer, he's unlikely to want to jump ship to Tottenham mid-season. Moreover, I personally see no reason to urgently fire Postecoglou. Tottenham is primarily suffering from injuries and a shortage of players needed for aggressive football. And McKenna's arrival here won't help at all. Kylian Mbappe has shown aggressive football in recent matches. Zabel Gironi made a beautiful bank for Atalante. 4 goals in the last 6 matches and an average rating above 7. Not so bad, despite the matches with Atletico and Liverpool. Kylian has one more reason to be happy. The case of Mbappe's involvement in the assault in Sweden is closed due to lack of evidence. Prosecutor Marina Chirikova stated that during the investigation, the person involved in the assault and 2 cases of sexual harassment was identified. But in my assessment, the evidence is insufficient for further investigation, and therefore the investigation is closed. And no charges were brought for the commission of the crime. Meanwhile, the victim girl accused specifically Kylian. As reported by the Swedish TV channel TVI, the story is not over yet. If Mbappe wants to prove that the accusations were false, or if the girl's side finds evidence of the Frenchman's crime, the case can be reopened. In the near future, Mbappe will have to deal with Paris Saint-Germain. Mbappe recently appealed to France's Professional Football League Disciplinary Committee regarding Paris Saint-Germain's unpaid debt to him, but the league representatives declined the request. All because Paris Saint-Germain has taken the committee to court. I really like how the Parisians reacted to this. They compelled the committee to decide this. But Paris Saint-Germain issued a statement as if they admitted they owe nothing to the footballer. We are pleased the disciplinary committee did not punish Paris Saint-Germain at the player's request, deeming it unacceptable. Honesty is more important than any player. The French Professional Football Union defended Mbappe. This is simply unacceptable. We and the players will never accept this. The war will continue in other instances. The passenger does not want to pay the money that he is legally obliged to pay. There is no written evidence that Mbappe refused part of the payment. They say that he gave something like that under Luis Enrique and Al Khalifi. But there's just no paper, no proof. But Ali Khalifi, and it is he who insists on continuing the investigation, apparently stands above contracts. Roma is going through tough times, all because of the Friedkin owners. Either they are just unlucky, or they do not understand people at all. It's so strange because most of their business is run by trusted people, while they themselves do what they love most. Dan Friedkin, for example, loves to fly. Few knew that he piloted the Speed Flyer in the finale of Nolan's Dunkirk. In 2020, Friedkin hired sports director Tiago Pinto in Rome, who signed Mourinho and later had a dispute with the coach. He also arranged a couple of epic failed transfers, like the lease of Renato Sanchez and the signing of Rui Patricio. At the same time, he did not bring in defenders for Mourinho, even though the coach demanded them. Pinto's firing was unsurprising. Chief Executive Officer Lini Saluka gained nearly all power, and she became famous all over the world when she tried to deceive the management, claiming that De Rossi lost the dressing gown. And she was made to take a leave of absence. Meanwhile, De Rossi had already managed to fire her. Since then, the club has not found a prominent sports director. It's total chaos there. Florian Ghisolfi is the only professional in top management, and even he doesn't have much influence. In Rome, there's neither a technical director nor a general director, so they were looking for a new coach somehow. Ranieri was appointed to appease the disgruntled fans in disarray. There was no talk of any tactics. It's unclear whether the Friedkins can even discuss in this context, considering Juric's appointment prior to this. Horvat was unsuitable for selecting players. For his death metal football, he needed athletic fighters, but in Rome, he got delicate and grumpy technicians. Ranieri will leave Rome at the end of the season. According to Messenger, he will take a leadership position and his word will be considered when choosing a new coach. Ranieri picked Max Allegri to replace him. Rimliane are already in talks with the Juventus legend. Max really wants to return to work. Meanwhile, he favors choices from the A series. How much does Allegri suit Rome? His style is quite close to Mourinho's. Such a positional attack, largely built on absolute trust in the creativity of the pair of performers. Compact and reliable defense. Ranieri and Friedkin have to think. Allegri has brought a lot of experience, and medals in the collection too. Dan Friedkin dreams of making the club a hegemon of the A series. This winter, London legend Mikel Mudrik may switch from Chelsea to Manchester United. The Ukrainian continues to fight for a place in the main squad of Londoners. But under NC Maresca, his efforts are practically in vain. The Italian coach sees other players as the core. Mudrik has little chance in the Premier League. He can only show himself in the Conference League matches. Unlike under Pochettino, there's no discussion about starting. The competition among Chelsea's attackers is incredibly fierce at the moment, beyond just the coach's influence. This summer, the club spent a large sum on new players, including wingers. Yes, it certainly helped the team rise to second place in the table, but it didn't leave much chance for such players as Mudrik to get on the field more often. And some had to leave just because they didn't fit into the season's squad. At the same time, Manchester United might be able to offer the Ukrainian more playing time. Ruben Amorim, the new coach, seems to be seriously interested in strengthening the left flank of the attack. Marcus Rashford is still unstable, and the Red Devils practically have no other options besides him. Garnakin is in the squad, and it appears Amorim is readying a new role for him. Mudrik could become the main attacker on the flank. His adaptation in England was slow, but he has significantly improved over the year. He improved his defensive work and strike accuracy. All his goals in the Conference League were really beautiful. And the main virtue of the Ukrainian is hard work. Even in Shakhtar, they said that Mudrik stays after training and works on every aspect of the game. This could play into his hands in Manchester, but it's not that simple. The financial side of the issue could become a serious obstacle. Mudrik has a big contract, and Manchester United, most likely, will want to take him on loan, considering the current management's approach to economizing resources. Will Chelsea's management agree to such a step, or will they insist on selling? It's unclear, but on the other hand, is there any sense in keeping a player with such a salary just for the Conference League matches? It appears more profitable to let him go, reducing payroll pressure. If the transfer occurs, it will be an intriguing move for everyone involved. Manchester will get a boost from this, and Mudrik will have a chance to prove that he's worth more. For Chelsea, this could be an opportunity to reduce expenses if the coaching staff doesn't plan to use the Ukrainian in the near future. Europe's top clubs continue to show interest in Barca. Earlier, there were rumors about the possible transfer of the Ukrainian to Chelsea, Manchester City, or Real Madrid. Now there is information about a transfer to Tottenham, and in fact, Spurs have previously shown interest in the Bournemouth defender. But with the approach of the transfer window, their interest has intensified, and now Spurs are being called the main favorites to buy Zabarny. The team has two more main defenders. These are Mickey van den Ven and Cristian Romero. The defense plays reliably with them. Without them, we struggled in the second half against Chelsea. But the problem is, both players were injured in that skirmish with the pensioners. They won't be able to help the team in upcoming matches. Van den Ven is out for several weeks, and Romero's recovery period will be a month and a half. From the professional central defenders, only Rado Dragusin and Ben Days are left available. Both footballers are not a model of reliability, unlike Zaber Nogo. In a recent match against Ipswich, he showed his mastery, for which he received praise from all club representatives. In that duel, he won 14 single combats. He turned the ball over 10 times. He made 6 interceptions and never let Ipswich players get past him. Of course, Bournemouth's management and fans would not want to part with him. The team's head coach said in an interview that he is heavily relying on the Ukrainian throughout the season. But at the same time, such active interest from European giants might force Bournemouth to sell their key player. Considering Tottenham's injury situation, Postecoglou wants Zabernova to be acquired as soon as January. For this, President Spor Daniel Levy will have to loosen his purse strings. The Ukrainian's contract includes a buyback option worth 60 million euros, and no one will sell him for less. But Zabarny is worth that much money. First of all, he is really a good and solid defender. Secondly, in 2 years in the Premier League, he has missed only 6 matches. And in such a tough schedule, you need sturdy guys. Thirdly, he is only 22 years old, and he has been a key player in his club and the national team for several years. But even if Daniel Levy tightens up and refuses to buy the defender for 60 million, there will be a contender for Zabarnov. He could be bought by the same Manchester City or Chelsea. These clubs clearly have more resources. Manchester City urgently needs to change something. Of course, there is a theory that the footballers and the coach already know the decision on the financial violations and are just waiting for the team to be sent to the championship. However, if this is not true, the citizens may be in a crisis due to various factors that Pep Guardiola cannot resolve. And yet, the Catalan has never encountered this in his career before. All his teams crushed their opponents, and there was never a situation where there was only 1 victory in 10 matches. In general, if the coach doesn't know, then in such a case the management should deal with the problem, and preferably as soon as possible. The Mountain Dwellers will have a chance to fix the issue in the January transfer window. The club already wants to acquire a halfback to replace the injured Rodri, and the main target is Bruno Guimaraes from Newcastle United. But above all, the team needs to strengthen the attack. In matches against strong teams, namely against Liverpool, Tottenham, and Juventus, Manchester City's attack didn't score a single goal, despite creating up to 5 goal-scoring chances. This indicates major issues with implementation. Erling Haaland has never been known for his leadership qualities in important matches, but now the problem affects the entire team. Neither wingers nor halfbacks are helping. We need a footballer who can handle tough one-on-one situations against challenging opponents. Of course, Manchester City, for instance, could sign Rafinha from Barcelona. He has repeatedly shown how important it is to him to constantly move forward and excel in the face of the opponent. He is one of the few Catalan players this season who always fights to the end. But the citizens are focused on another player from the Spanish La Liga, on the one who was supposed to replace Rafinha in Barcelona last summer. As you might have guessed, Manchester City is planning to sign Nick Williams from Athletic. The Spaniard promised his brother to play the season in the team to fight for the EuroCup. Because of this, his move to the capital of Catalonia fell through. But Manchester City can simply make an offer that cannot be refused. Unlike Barcelona, the citizens have the necessary resources. Besides, working with Pep Guardiola, seeing firsthand how he pulls his hair out on his bald head is an invaluable experience for any footballer. Therefore, Manchester City has several arguments at once that can make Nick Williams forget about his brother's promises and switch to Etihad. But the problem of the city can only be solved with a comprehensive approach. We need to buy new players almost in all lines, refresh the squad, simultaneously gambling on those able to lead in crucial games. Moreover, it wouldn't hurt them to see a psychologist as a team, but only on the condition that they really don't blow the season. Barca won against Borussia Dortmund in the toughest match. You could say that the outcome of that trip was decided by the substitutes. Ferran Torres, who came off the bench, scored twice, including the winning goal for the Catalans. Frankie de Jong also came on as a substitute in that match. The Dutchman tried to make his presence felt. He persistently battled, pressuring Borussia's players. Honestly, it didn't always work out. But his zeal was noticeable, so to speak, even from Miami. Moreover, these were not his first attempts to impress the head coach of the Catalans. However, it appears his attempts had a somewhat different outcome. Frankie de Jong's performance impressed Nuri Sahin, not Hansi Flick. According to the source, after the game, the Borussia coach requested management to initiate the transfer process for the Dutch player. The source also claims that Schmelly is already preparing an attractive offer that should please Frankie. But it's hard to believe that modest Borussia is capable of meeting the not-so-small demands of the Dutchman. In Barca, he earns as much as not a single player from the Bundesliga does. Even if you consider the information about 35 million as a throw-in, many resources still note that his salary is at most 30% less than this amount. But at the same time, Frankie may go for a reduction if he is interested in the Borussia project. And according to the source, he really likes Nuri Sahin's football. But still, what are the chances of a transfer from Barcelona to Dortmund? In a good case, not many, considering how many teams have been interested in him lately. Liverpool and Passage are among the contenders for him. These clubs have larger resources than Borussia, for example, and in no way are they inferior to it in any sporting principle. By the way, judging by the comments under the last video, with the news about De Jong's transfer, Barca fans are really dreaming of getting rid of him, even ready to give him away for free. Although it's quite logical considering the Dutchman's salary and the financial situation of the Catalan club, given that De Jong is not a key player of the team at the moment. In general, wherever he would go, Catalan fans would just be happy if he leaves the team. Liverpool wants to take advantage of Barcelona's financial problems and take one of Flick's team leaders for free. Scouts have been focusing on the Catalan club's footballers for a while now, wanting to strengthen their squad for free. There were rumors about interest in Frankie de Jong, who they agreed to sell for just 20 million euros. Arne Slot would like to see his compatriot in his team. He believes that the Dutchman will benefit his Liverpool. But a new drama has flared up in the Catalan capital, and the APL leader wants to take advantage of it. The situation with Dani Olmo's registration has not been resolved in the last few days. Most likely, if it does get a positive outcome, it will be just before the deadline. But so far, there are no signs of registration for the Spaniard. And if they can't include him in the application for the second half of the season, then it's a write-off. The footballer can end his contract with the Catalans and transfer to another team at no cost. And I'll remind you that this summer, John Laporta gave his last $60 million for him, which is why he is now experiencing a lack of funds in the club's budget. These events are intensifying Liverpool's interest. Local sources report that Merseyside residents are closely monitoring the unfolding events. Liverpool's midfield with Gravenberch, McAllister, Sabasli, and Curtis Jones looks well-rounded. But Olma's free transfer would draw the interest of all top clubs. The Spaniard proved his worth, becoming a leader of the national team in the victorious Euro, and establishing himself as a key player immediately after moving to a new club. Considering Dani Olma's experience and skills, he could strengthen any top team. His transfer to Barcelona's main rival from Madrid would be intriguing, given their issues with orchestrating play in midfield. However, a Barcelona trainee would likely not transfer to their main competitor's state. Liverpool, on the other hand, seems like a more logical option. This team is currently leading in all the tournaments it participates in. Based on their current pace, they will likely maintain this trend in future seasons. This means that with them, you can add to your trophy collection, something Barcelona can't guarantee. In just about 3 weeks, it will become clear whether the Catalans can hold on to their player, or will the Englishman Grant take him away, taking advantage of their problems. Manchester United just loves to create problems for themselves, only to heroically overcome them later. The catch remains regardless of who's at the helm. Under Amari, everything is still the same. The Red Devils lost the first half against Victoria Pleasant. Amari tried to play with a complex 9. Xerxes, of course, is perfect for this role. Only top wingers are needed, creating width and capable of generating danger from any position. Diallo, who revealed himself in the role of a lateral, played higher, and Malaysia and Dalot couldn't cope at all, and Amariam had to abandon the idea of a false 9. Rasmus Haaland ended the game in the second half. On the flank, more active forwards Anthony and Garnacho appeared. And Malaysia, by the way, doesn't fit into Amarim's football at all. Just pour and forget, like half the roster, honestly. To be honest, and half of the team as well. Anana brought it openly and played with his short pass after MU missed the first one. He tried to bring it in the first half when he made a mistake on the exit, but it didn't work out. It's okay, he corrected himself in the second half. This is not his first or last such mistake. Sometimes such a style of play with the feet pays dividends, but sometimes MU has to backpedal. Fortunately, Ruben Amorim is slowly turning Rasmus Haaland into Victor Duquerre. Otherwise, how do you explain yesterday's double in Dachinen? The second goal is pure joy. He played brilliantly. Together with Bruno, now Rasmus. The first player in the history of the Major League Baseball who, at the age of up to 22, scored in 10 goals. At this rate, United can thrive without a new striker. Why buy Decoratia if you already have your own? But Mason Mount disappointed. He didn't take advantage of such moments yesterday, as if either Jesus or Werner had gotten into him. Switching to the Chelsea match, the Blues had to play 10 down away at Astana. On the frost, it was clearly visible who among the players was the most tired. Third lineup, 3-1 victory. Chelsea managed. 3-1 victory. Meanwhile, Claudio Ranieri surprised again. Against Braga, his team came out with 3 10s, that is, to play football with De Rossi. Throughout the match, the Romans scored as many as 5 goals, and the Portuguese goal was distinguished 3 times. And they could have scored more if Ranieri hadn't taken off all 3 10s during the match. An unusual legend, but until the substitutions, the football was captivating. I hope Claudio keeps experimenting. And you, I hope, will continue to subscribe to our Telegram channel. We are already 42,000 with a tail. There you will find reviews of all the main events of the day. Welcome to the bonfire. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. That's all for today. My name is Kirill Cast, and this was your daily dose of football. Don't forget that we have our own radio show on Radio Chanson America. The link is in the description. Peace to your house and to Johanga, friends.